last one. I mean, several of the comments have kind of been more like, we could also talk about marriage. But I mean, it's really only going to make sense for that or this to be the front of the room. The advantage of, like, forever, if you remember, we always thought like this.
Right.
People, if you were teaching, you're teaching here, then you come in, because you will see somebody come in to the door and not see an easy way to it, and they'll just walk away instead of embarrassing themselves. And I get that. They shouldn't be embarrassed.
No, you should be very embarrassed. Haley gets here. There's something with parenting and shame early. She can do it like right in the shame.
You were here for the Jenna Britt seminar, weren't you? Okay. Well, this was like, we set up tables. I think that's right. No, maybe we had a circle like this. Hey. But, like, it's still, she was here. Anthony Myers is in here on Wednesday night. Like, I mean, that was what it always was. But you actually get more people in this setup. I mean, this arrangement isn't going to work for every class, but it's the best arrangement for this class. Yeah. Could the video be mounted on the wall and the audio be strung down to a more central location? Because you can always hear the teacher, but you can't always hear the comment. Yeah. Then again, some people that make comments to be unsure. That's where the projector was. That
Because I'm using a bunch of old stuff.
things continue as they are, maybe this is next year, but probably want to do that classroom.
Thanks, Trace.
They stole your seat.
Yeah, they stole your seat.
There's no way. Not as kind.
You know that when our time is done, probably the next for this class.
Well, we got to figure it out by then. So you had how many more years? So we got a little while.
Let's see, Morgan, how old are you? 30? Okay.
So we've got 18 years? Figure that.
No,
My math.
My math is, some of them, they spot that next ones and 30, so count that. 6 boys.
The theme of it would be like lots of grace.
Lots of grace.
You don't have to figure it out.
But did you know that John Mark parents help parents?
Really?
This rhymes a lot with
We practice.
practicing the way.
Yeah.
I told some people who were in the practicing the way class but haven't been here. This is practicing. which is
Yeah.
actually more attainable to me because
Yeah.
I'm like, a lot of practice in the way I'm like, okay, how can I do this when I'm like implementing the whole family? Because I felt like we do so much as a group, like there's just not a ton of being an
Not a lot of
individual.
individual time.
Solitude,
Yeah.
silence.
And so a lot of
Solitude.
it, yeah. And so I love it.
Very on. Hey, grab a couple of books, one for each, for each of you. That's what I meant to say. Sorry about
Yes,
that.
those two.
Yeah.
Hello.
Carry on.
Join us. Welcome to your 45 minutes of peace. However long.
Yeah. Class itself's only about 30 minutes because
Maybe 15 when we do the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have kids who like happily go to Bible class, then you have a lot of incentive.
get to get there.
Class time.
Are
Well,
you sitting there waiting on the teacher to get there?
yeah. Minutes of guilt-free baby.
We were pretty peacefully getting Peter to go to the bathroom. Yeah. Okay. But then he wanted to go to the handicap one, it's big, but I didn't know that, and I was shutting the door, he walked right into it. And Abby's like, I could hear him crying, like 50 feet away. So we do the mornings.
He's allowed to cry. I underlined a lot of things, and I've been like taking pictures and sending it to her.
I've been getting a lot of notes out of this book while I'm working. Right, look at this. Highlight, circle, stars.
Yeah. Is that helpful or is that passive aggressive?
It's just aggressive. There's no step.
This is what we're doing. Okay, today is Ryan's birthday.
Wow.
38 years old.
38.
But he asks in the car, what do y'all everybody give me one thing to work on at age 38. So he is a grower, and so he likes some construction.
Okay.
Everybody's got a
38
lot of
things.
Everybody's
Everybody's got a lot of
38 things, Ryan.
I just wish everybody had less things.
What was the funniest thing?
Oh, good. A lot of them were related to like yelling, exercise, or business. So there's a lot of humor in any of those. I don't remember.
I think the theme of it was just slow down.
Slow down.
Be in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, anticipating fewer people with the holiday weekend.
Actually, we're voting.
It's a Survivor style every week.
Yeah, that's right.
West Perry gets voted out.
Yeah, the winner at the end. Probably there's a good chance this special one will be like 10 in December. I think we're going to have to slow down on this plan. Well,
And then I went that podcast. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, here. Right. An overview.
This is my daughter. That's how to do the semester.
Oh.
So, you both
Hey.
with Jessica and, or probably, Luke and Janice. Oh, and the dad.
It was faster than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But with
Yeah, they
Tucker
had
and
set
Jeff,
it more low.
And then you just have to call it and be like,
How
yep.
about Long Island
2012.
University?
2012.
I didn't know they even had.
Yeah, we went.
We didn't even.
But we were out for 5.
Maybe we should bring us, I thought maybe we could bring us some toys for that. Might be people.
How are
Yeah.
you? We're glad. No judgment.
At the end of the year, I mostly recruit for free custody.
How are y'all doing? How old is your?
And then also,
Yes, because so fast. It's a friend. Is he 10 months? How old is he?
Oh, yeah.
Fun age.
hand it over here.
It's just I can read it.
Dad had.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've had those.
I don't know if we saw where all of a sudden.
They're good. Like right now we have like three soccer teams and 2 football teams that we're working with. So that's the stage of life we're in. But it's fun. So yeah, it's one thing about living in a small town is you can get to like multiple places within a few minutes of each other, and so that is a
When they do the surgery, they're waiting on it.
every stage has its like challenges and things. So, yeah. Yes. There's the littlest, and then Wyatt, 6th grade, they go to public school, and then the other 4 are homeschooled. So we just started when Chester County School started, so that we were like on the same schedule. Yeah. Are you teaching or are you singing?
Yeah.
How's that going? Juggling that?
It's better than last year. Yeah.
Almost.
But so far I'm like, it's just
Yeah.
like
Yes.
but I guess
Yeah. And where did she get your daughter's name? Maverick. I knew she had a. Where did she go? See,
That's hard for me to sound.
So you get this weird chair.
like
Yeah.
we just ordered a class for
Like a recumbent bike. Leaning forward.
we to her like
Yeah. Yeah.
that was
So it would be hard to do. When you're like, I gotta go.
yeah. He does drop by.
23 hours.
That's good.
Like I don't think I can hold it. But also
Yeah. That is good. No, it's a lot to juggle. Like getting yourself ready.
oh yeah.
Should be all this summer time.
Enough help. I'm retired.
Which
Their time, my contract, I'll be like,
I was like yeah, I'm glad I did.
you know, but
It was good.
Yeah.
What are
Yes.
So I think it was good.
That is like I feel for kids to kindergarten, even if they're but he's just gonna go to kindergarten, and he loves it, and it's good for him, and so it's nice. He's like into things a little more. He likes to do school stuff, but with the like ones I have at home, I'm like, okay, I can just like go on like lunch dates a lot, and so it's and like 10 minutes.
Our lunch date's like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
We get a salad. Or so.
But
Zip home.
But that's a time of like focused conversation amidst some. So
Because we got Friday, she's outside. He was like,
you want to go ahead and turn to Deuteronomy chapter
it's so good
6.
to just take
We're going to
advantage of
start
that.
there. Just a minute. We'll go ahead and get started. I knew at the holiday weekend we'd have several gone, but if you didn't pick up a book last week, there's 2 books for each person. One's the study guide and one's the book. We're going to be looking at the book, and if you sit, I'm going to go ahead and say I like a plan. I get real anxious about not having a plan. When I make a plan, feel good about what I'm doing, but I'm okay with veering from the plan. We're going to have to veer from the plan because this was way too much probably. And if it takes us 6 months, it'll be time well spent. But I wanted to start in Deuteronomy chapter 6, and you probably know this. This is, this is what the Jews refer to as the Shema, and they would pray this. They would speak this like every evening and every morning. So like when we talk about habits and rhythms and routines, like they knew that. They had fixed times of prayer and fixed times. And you're on your phone, or let's try the international version if you have it. And let's say this together. Deuteronomy chapter 6. Let's go 4 through 7. Deuteronomy chapter 6, 4 through 7. Okay. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, when you get up. You know, I just think this is so practical. I love things that are simple but profound. And this is a simple, profound truth. And this is an important time in Israel's history. They're about to go into the promised land. Moses is not going with them. The only generation that's going, all they've known is wilderness. And all they've known is God taking care of them. And now they're going into this new land. And Moses is concerned about the next generation. And so I think this is really good. And the things that we've been talking about here is, you know, first of all, like we need, if you want your children to love God with all your heart, you need to show them what it looks like to love God with all your heart. And that's really important. And so impressing them. And so when we talk about these 4 times, the other thing I've been trying to say, the other thing I've been trying to say is like the last thing I want to do is add more to your schedule. You're very busy people. And the last thing I want to do is make you feel guilty about what you're doing or not doing. And so I'm saying let's take these 4. What do you say? Okay. Let's take these 4 times that are built into every day, and let's just be more intentional and strategic about that. When you get up, when you go to bed, when you sit at home, meals, when you walk along the road, you know, maybe when you're driving or walking. And so that's kind of the framework for this class. And so I think what we should do is the assignment was to read chapter 1. And if you didn't get chapter 1, if you're new to the class, that's fine. We're gonna go slow. We're gonna have days where we're not gonna weeks where we're gonna be able to make it up time. So we're gonna start. Let's go to page 4. If you need a book, again, I've got extra books there. Even if you left yours at home, it'd probably be good for you to have a book just to follow along. I want everybody to have a book and the study guide. I want everybody to have the study guide. There was a lot in the study guide. And so if you didn't finish that, that's no problem. You'll have another week or 2 to finish that. But I love the study guide because it also gives you did anybody try to access any of the videos? There's a code there you can access the videos. I think that would be important. Something we've done every week that I think is important, but I don't want to take up just too much time, is for everyone to just go around just quickly, introduce yourself, and tell us the names and ages of your kids. Just real quick. Do that. Brian?
Ryan and Abby. We have 6 boys. Brody, Wyatt, Nolan, Shepard, McCoy, and Peter. And they're 14, 11, 9, 8, 6,
7 and 5.
It's always changing.
Time of year.
Jay and Aaron. Nate, Marion, 8, 6.
Is that correct?
So we have Beckett, who's 4, and 2.
Jonathan and Hannah, we have 4, date of birth 13, 15, 17, 11, 2011. I can't get the age right. You know, right? Know when they were born, though.
That's good.
Stephen, Amy, Ruth, who's 11, Andrew, who's 10, and Hannah, who's 5.
Chris, this is Morgan. These are Morgan's parents. And we don't have children yet.
And then his third daughter Morgan, 32, and Matthew, who is 29.
All right, so we're going to start at page 4 in this book, but ask Brian to lead us in prayer, and we'll jump in.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this morning. Thank you for this time to gather together to share our faith and our circumstances, and please help us to have a great time of study. Thank you for Andy and Tammy's preparation. Thank you for the guidance that we can get through your word. Please help us to take rest in the fact that you have a plan for us and our families and the way that we live and the way that we can serve. In your son's name, I'm praying.
So on page 4, I really liked, and you highlighted things, I want to hear that as well. I really liked the significance of what's normal. You know, what's normal. And so I got to thinking about like my own family, think about your family. But what was normal in your house growing up? What was normal in your house growing up? And then what's normal in your house today? What was normal in your house growing up? In our house, growing up, like we always, best I remember, had an evening meal together, and my mom would cook, and my dad would lead the prayer. And Morgan will understand this. Like my dad, he moves slow, even then. And so he would always lead the prayer. He would fold his hands like this, and he would say, and I was like, he would pray so slow, and I was like, my food gets cold. That was our normal. That was a normal. What about in your family? What your family growing up? What were some normals? What were some routines? What were some things reflecting back like, okay, this was, I remember thinking like every family was like mine, you know, growing up. Because I never lived anywhere long enough to see other families. And then when I got to Freed Harder and made friends and they told me about their family, I thought, oh, you're not like them. What about your family growing up? What was your normal?
I feel like I had a pretty like stereotypical like 90s childhood where like we're out running around the neighborhood and then at a certain time we're supposed to come home for dinner, and dinner was always at the table and like cooked at home. We did not go out to eat very often, and my mom was a realtor, so she would sometimes be home later, so my dad would get dinner started, but pretty much dinner at the table every night, and I feel like I had been running around the neighborhood wild until dinner time.
Okay. Good old days. What was a normal? What was something that was a normal thing in your family?
I know this probably isn't normal or wasn't normal, but it was. We did a lot. We spent a lot of meals, dinner, never actually sitting down. We would actually just kind of congregate around the island, the kitchen, just stand there and eat our meals. I know we had a table. It wasn't. Didn't use it. It was just times or not. We just didn't actually make it. Kind of nice though. Like never
interesting, like when you have your normal and your family you grew up with, and then your spouse has their normal, and then you're like, but what's normal to you seems very abnormal to them, and vice versa. What was some things that were normal, just normal, your routine, your family?
Live in the
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we always came from school and set a kitchen counter while mom cooked dinner and did her homework and talked. And while she was cooking, had dinner around the counter there at the bar. We sat down, didn't sit at the table, but that was where a lot of conversation. That's right points. Still remember that.
Had more. Here it goes. Or what was something that maybe was normal that now you've realized not like growing up? Like, so, like, what was normal in our family growing up is we all just kind of did our own thing. And I didn't know that wasn't normal. Like, I never remember my parents or my sister coming to my baseball games. I never went to their swim meets or band performance. I didn't know that wasn't normal. And then I married someone whose mother came to everything, including intramural basketball games. I thought that wasn't very normal. But like, I don't know why we just did our own thing. Like, other than that dinner meal, we didn't spend a lot of time together. But I thought that was normal. What else? Normal in your house? Or what about this? What is something that's normal in your house today? What's the normal? What is something that you do fairly regularly that has become just your normal? This is the way it is. And this is how things run, or this is what we do. I don't.
I feel like we play with our kids a lot, like flag football. And something that's probably not normal is my teenage son will be like, have teenage friends over and be like, Mom, we need an extra, will you play with us? And so that's one of the things that is so dear to me, that we have a lot of memories and moments of like actively doing games and sports with them. And it used to be like playing kitchen. And I know lots of you are in that stage of like, we're playing kitchen and make-believe, and now it's transitioned to black or two-hand touch or just all-out war, handball in the or whatever. So, but I think that's something our kids will remember than like, Mom and Dad. There's a lot of things we do not do well, but that's one thing we feel like we do well.
That's helpful too. You've got nearly a whole team.
Yeah.
I was going to say the only thing, like, decibel level of volume. Like, everything else kind of goes crazy, but normally really loud.
Is it ever just quiet?
Better check on everybody.
What's something that's normal in your house today?
I think when we got married, we started eating while watching TV, and we wouldn't have any kids. We need to move back. So that way we can like cool and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like she's 10 months, and so at some point,
Yeah.
They always say that they be dismissed, so TV or play video games or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of what
Yeah.
we had left.
Yeah, I think there was a generation of parents that was like, "Oh, you're going to learn. You're going to learn to like it." I don't know if that's happening that much anymore. It's kind of pick your battles, don't you? Yeah. And then the other thing is, now then when you become an empty nester, you know what you do? You go back to eat in front of the TV. And we have TV trays. Tammy sits over there on her couch.
Reverted all the way back to the 80s.
Yeah, we're back.
Not TV did.
And sometimes in my recliner, like we got a new couch that's kind of taller than the other one, so she sits in the corner, sectional, and so I lean back at my recliner, and I can't see her. And I hear her voice. Sometimes I put my headphones in, I'm watching a video or something, I lean back and she's talking to me, and then she's getting mad at me. And then I finally hear her, and I'm like, then I see her. And I'm, what's normal in your house today?
I started a machine that it's great.
I like that. Yeah. I think one of the things you're doing in the morning is you're kind of like a coach. You're getting them ready to go out, getting the team ready to go out on the field. That kind of encouraging. And little things like that you can, they'll remember that. Yeah, they will. That was good. So one of the things that they're talking about here is in like deciding what's normal. If you remember, he's kind of telling his story. Like his normal was this chaos, especially around bedtime, where he would just get frustrated and he'd get angry and, it just like, I don't know what to do. But what bothered him is that became the normal. Like that wasn't, the normal was for him to be frustrated and angry and wrestle his kids to bed and all that kind of stuff. So he wanted to create a new normal. And the thing about what's normal is that it can change. It fits a lot with the sermon series about what you think. What you think and what you do in terms of a habit, you can change the thought patterns. So did everybody, when you think about a new normal, what did you think about what he was saying in that part, page 7 and 8? Anybody underline anything there?
I love how he said nothing is normal until it is.
Yeah, nothing is normal until it is. And how does something become normal? You just do it enough times over and over again. And so you can create some new habits. Remember how he talked about the liturgy? Yeah. The bedtime blessing, we're going to talk about that next week because that's in chapter 10. Chapters are kind of arranged a little differently than the video. But one of the things I noticed on page 7 is like, he kind of fumbled his way through this blessing, the father did. And then there was a time when one of the boys said, can we have our blessing? So he had created a new normal. And I thought about, I don't know if you remember this, probably 10 or 15 years ago, we did something similar to parenting class. And we talked about a bedtime blessing. And I never told you, but a few weeks ago, a couple that was in that class told me that they started 10 years ago, doing this bedtime blessing with their son. And he's now like 16 and they're still doing it. And he asked, they created a new normal. It wasn't that significant of a one-time event, but it's the repeating of that event that made it really significant and made it a new normal. So part of this is thinking about what would be some new normals that you would want. What could be some new normals that you could create, especially around the times that you get up and you go to bed, that you're driving in the car, you're eating dinner, that kind of thing. What did you think about his page 8 and 9 about the heart follows the habit? There's a lot of power in habit.
So habits not only occupy most of our time, or most of our habits, what we do, and we spend most of our time on those, but they also take up time.
So what did he mean by that? The heart follows the habit. Because we've talked about, like, what we want more than anything is to fight for the heart of our kids. Love God with all our heart, to impress these truths on their hearts that they love God with their heart. So if the heart is what we're after the heart more than we're after correct behavior. That's important. But we're after the heart more than, like, we're not trying to create soldiers who do what we say. We're trying to create disciples who love God with all their heart, love Jesus with all their heart. And so, if the heart follows the habits are pretty important.
I think the connection between, on page 9, habits occur in the deepest parts of our brain, and back on page 8, we do complicated, difficult tasks. Whatever you can, like, create as your things that you do on autopilot, it becomes, you know, things that occupy, like, some of the deepest parts of your brain. And so rarely do I make, like, great decisions unless they're, like, premeditated, or they're, like, already part of this, like, rote habit. Like, we don't want our boys to be trying to make big decisions and do important things whenever they're in the moment. We want it to already be, like, habit forming. And like, just, are we kind, and are we, like, those kinds of things are not already, like, deeply buried in there, how they're going to respond. But when you think about the section on, like, difficult tasks on autopilot, just think about, like, how many times I heard back to the airport and, like, remember, like, how it got almost like you're just literally, like, on autopilot all the way back. And so what kinds of things can become so formal in our house that can do them on autopilot, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You made me mad, so I hit you, because that was on autopilot too.
Yeah. Just being very intentional about those things.
Also, if you don't say, okay, when I'm in the mood and when I feel like it, I'm going to pray with my kids, or while I'm thinking about it, because a lot of times I don't pray for myself in the way that I'm managing my kids. And so I think if you have, like, a nighttime routine or whenever that you always pray or give a blessing, like, not just when you feel like blessing kids, then because I rarely am, like, I don't know, I feel the right way, and so, but if you do it anyway.
Yeah. Or, you know, Lee says, I don't want to do that. You still do it. Yeah.
I read another recently that's called We Become What We Normalize, and the whole, it wasn't talking specifically about families, about churches, organizations, individuals, but I think the same applies to families, where it said, you know, like, a church can have a really nice mission statement or values, you know, put on their website, but those things aren't actually normal and felt in that space, that's not really who you are, you know. And I think the same is true in the family. We could go to Hobby Lobby and get a nice, you know, in this home we are we are kind, and we are, you know, but if those aren't actually normal in our house, and you can tell when you walk into someone's house, like, you feel more
The tension.
or intention, and then you see in this house we are, and you're like, really good.
Yeah. At the bottom of page 10, the habits are also spiritually formative. I thought that was so. Let's create those kind of habits, and it's not necessarily something that's really difficult. We're not saying, you know, do 500 push-ups in the morning. We're talking about things that anybody can do. It's just a matter of doing them, and doing them enough that they become, you know, Jeffrey probably can 500 push-ups. Jackson, yeah. So the spiritual, they're formative. What else did you see from that section or the next about ordinary habits as really a form of worship? page 11, he talked about like the difference in like the education versus the habit. You know this. You can't just tell your kids something, and like if it's just a matter of information, like that's not going to be enough. You're going to have to. It's going to have to be a habit of doing what is right. And I like the statement that's italicized on page 11 near the bottom. Think about the way we align our heads and our hearts so we don't just know the right thing, we also love doing the right thing. That's really what we want for our children. It's not for them to do the right thing because, we're going to punish them or they're going to be rewarded, but they love doing the right thing. It's the right thing. That would be the goal. And it's similar to a lot of what Scripture says about, when the desires of our hearts, our children's hearts, align with the desires of God. Like that's a special place to be. You think about when Jesus said, "Not my will, but your will be done." And when we pray, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Like we're trying to. God answers prayers that align with His will, and so we align our heart with His will and His desire for our children. Like that's the place to be with our hearts, the hearts of our children. Look at page 12 and 13. Okay. What about this? Ways new habits lead the heart. Let's read this. Somebody read the. I'll read the top boring, and then somebody read my old habits, and then somebody read the section that says a new habit. Okay, who's going to do the old habit? Okay, who's going to do until a new habit? Okay, so here we go. My head thinks I want to be a patient person with my kids.
Reprimand, which leads to an impatient mood. Snap.
Until a new habit leaves my heart, until I've cultivated a habit, always saying, all through gritted teeth, that's okay. Why don't you help it up? Saying this paves the way during the cleanup process instead of another reprimand. Feel more patient because I practice cultivation.
Okay, what do you think about that? Yeah, that's hard to do. That's gone. Yeah. 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 And I think we're going to get there too, because when we talk about like the morning routine, there's also that evening routine where you kind of like, and where he talked about like he just would like put them to bed and he'd pray outside their door. It's like, yeah, get in bed. Okay. But again, it's like you start your day and you're like, okay, this is what matters. This is what I'm about. And then you end the day that way, even though you're probably frustrated, upset. And I think this is going to come up again, but I like the idea of not, like, kids need to do themselves. Kids need help, messes they make. They always come behind them, clean up their messes. Like, I've seen that played out with 16-year-olds, college students. Like, that's not helpful. But for them to, and not expecting, and maybe they're not able, but a shared experience like that, as much as, and you could do it quicker, you could do it faster, and you could do it better, that shared experience might be a habit or something that really helps that. All right, let's do this again with the next one. Who's going to be the old habit?
That probably sounds like me. So.
Okay. Who's going to be the good person? New habit. Okay. So my head thinks, I want to give my kids my full attention.
But the morning news notifications on my phone always get me mad and worried. I'm usually absent, distracted this morning as we get the kids.
And until I cultivated the habit of turning off all notifications and not using my phone before dropping. We are formed in the image of what we habitually gaze at. The habits of our hearts follow the habits of our.
And I think by drop off, he's probably talking about school drop off. So now we can drop them off at school. So, how often is, if the first thing you look at is your phone, whether it's social media or news, what is that doing to your day, whether you realize it or not?
Not
Stress.
Yeah, stress, frustration. Like, you start the day that way. Like, I'm beginning to wonder. I'm trying to remember. There was a time when we didn't have. What did we
I
do?
remember when you got me my first one, and
She didn't want it.
I was bad.
She did. Yeah. Why would I want this? But not just that, but the smartphone. I think adults are as bad as kids about staying on it. Probably worse because they don't understand how to use technology. So again, one thing she's going to suggest is a morning routine is that not be the first thing that you do. Like, that's pretty hard for me. Like, that not be the thing you do, because you'd be formed by that.
This really, I underlined it and I deleted social media apps from my phone because I regularly spend so much time just scrolling, and it's like, even if I'm just in the okay, I just had a good conversation with my kid, I just have a moment and I'm scrolling Instagram and Facebook, and I've listened to so many podcasts about how that's not good for young people and what it's doing to our brains, and then I realized it's doing the same thing to my brain and my heart. So not that I won't ever get on social media again, but it really, in the moment, I was like, this is not good. I know the minutes of the day spending doing it, and they could be minutes I was doing something else.
I would be embarrassed to share how much time I spend on the screen. It's ridiculous.
This week, later, see any of these messages.
But we've created this new normal where you don't respond to a text message 15 minutes, people are mad. Why do we have to be that connected? Yeah. Yeah, what's wrong with you? They're mad at me. More and more schools I'm hearing are trying to take back that control. I remember we got out of youth ministry right when smartphones came in, but we were trying to we were making shoe boxes and retreats, and you would put your phone to bed, and I've heard of kids they have a burner phone, so when their first phone gets taken from them, they have a. And parents are a big part of that because they're the one providing the burner phone because they can't. I got to know where you are. Well, I don't know. I'm going to get on the rant. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to go ahead and mess up the plan that I already made. Let's don't go to chapter 10 yet. Let's stay in chapter 1. Yeah, so chapter 1 was about waking habits, and chapter 10 is bedtime habits. So I thought we ought to do those together. So let's stay with the morning routine, and so you have time to read the chapter. If you didn't catch up, you want to look at the study guide. But let's go back to chapter 1 before we go to the bedtime routine. Sound good? All right. Thank you so much.
When we went to the parent meeting, you told us, well, we're take a pause. We were that. But I'm going to say we talked to several. They all way and encouraging get a paper Bible.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah. When I was interviewed, I keep the reason we're going to
My compromise was
Everybody's 5 years.
Oh. I have
I need some
had
extra
like two different phases. I swear.
what would it say? Like
I had to be
60%?
us and Apple by 7. Overnight. They were. Okay, so it's not plenty of anything. No, when it's free. End up going. There, down there. And I'm going back in like that world again.
Tyler got that
Yeah.
but he has a
145 straight days.
back to the
Start.
He got an iPad mini like mine. And so
That's awesome. That's awesome.
245.
I went down and charged my phone at the back. And I walked by and I was like,
Can't get on it.
because using my phone as my alarm clock doesn't help because it's already in my head.
Then you just start checking everything.
once you touch it,
Yeah,
go back.
well, because it's the first thing I touch in the morning. Because sometimes I use my watch. It's better. I will say, getting my watch helped because my excuse for